not about politics, it's about football.
This is a simple game.
We're going to run the ball, and we're going to pass the ball. We're just going to play football, really.
How good of a football player are you?
I just get it and try to spin it. That's all.
I just love the game.
It really is the best time of the year.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to It's Just Football. Trevor Sikkema, that is Mike Renner, joining you guys on a Tuesday, post-Monday Night Football. A game that tested the limits of my sanity, I'm not going to lie, Mike, in basically every sense of the word.
Is that every Bucs game, though, at this point?
But that last night was something truly special. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Big Buccaneers win. And if you're an Eagles fans out there, congrats. Still have a top 5 pick because you have the Saints pick, which is wild. You guys are already talking in the chat about that. Shout out everybody who is watching the show live. Appreciate you guys tuning in, getting in on the chat. It's a big day to be in the chat. Nico is our chat champ, so I've got to shout him out. Make sure that we get the shout out there. I saw him in the chat already. We got Dogs of the Week that we're talking about today, so we're getting a lot of our shout outs for our top performers from this past weekend in the NFL. Plus, Mike and I are bringing back a familiar segment. We're talking panic meter, all right? Where's the panic meter for some teams that are playoff bound, Super Bowl bound, but also we're turning that on its head as well. Some teams that might be winning too many games when it comes to the NFL draft as well. So we're going to view the panic meter at all angles. Mike, how are we feeling today?
Feeling good. Excited to do a little Dogs of the Week.
I know. Yeah. It's a good one.
Always.
You've got some deep dog. Oh, was this planned?
Yeah. Dogs.
Be honest. Did you just realize that today? Or did you just realize that right now that you were wearing a dog shirt?
Georgia Bulldogs, come on.
I know we're not supposed to post our L's this hard, but do you realize we didn't hit a single bet last night?
Yeah, I did. I actually did realize that.
Game went over. We said that it was going to go under. Bucks only won by 1. Both of us said that they were going to win by 3.5. Chris Olave got 4 catches instead of the 4.5 over that I bet, and Andy Dalton didn't attempt 33.5 passes.
Yeah. Well.
Not a great day betting for the boys, but that just means the next time we bet, luck's going to be on our side. That's how that works, right? It's got to go back and forth.
Wait, the game did go under.
Did it go under?
The game did go under, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm bad at math.
Yeah.
You're right.
You went under.
Screw what I said. We know exactly what we're talking about here on the show.
Well.
That's why you guys should listen to us no matter what. Well, appreciate everybody who's listening. Let's get the production portal guys in as well. Quinn, how are we feeling today, my friend?
Good, man. I feel like you guys kind of overlooked the fact that last night was an Andy Dalton primetime game.
Mm-hmm. You know more about those than I do.
Yeah, it's always going to be like unders on everything, overs on interception props. Just anything like negative generally is what comes forward. And I love Andy, but it's not good during the when the bright lights come on.
It is hilarious to me that Andy Dalton is the 3rd highest paid quarterback on the Saints, yet they're like riding with him. You know, Jameis makes more, Taysom Hill makes more. But they're still riding with Andy Dalton. And, obviously he's played fine.
He's been
But
solid
their results
year,
have not been fine. They've lost a lot of games still.
3 weeks ago, I was
kind of him in a nutshell.
Yeah. 3 weeks ago, I was saying you have to start Jameis. Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
You're clearly not a team that's good enough to really make any noise at all in the playoffs. Andy's, 36 years old, and he's only there for 1 more year. How are you not playing Jameis at this point?
I don't know.
Very strange.
They're
Very
not.
Interesting. Quinn, what's our question of the day to get us started here?
Yeah, so speaking of quarterbacks, Tom Brady, 56 comeback drives, game-winning drives, most all time.
Mm-hmm.
So there's one of the answers. But name the top 5 NFL game-winning drives active leaders.
Ooh, active.
So this isn't all time. It's just a top 5 that are playing right now.
Name the top 5 NFL game-winning drive active leaders. So this is obviously a quarterback award. We're not giving it to left tackles. We're not naming any left tackles who may have blocked during game-winning drive, but
could be Taysom Hill.
Maybe we should actually give some love to the boys up front. What are we thinking here? Right off the bat,
Brady,
active.
Matt Ryan, Matt Stafford. I feel like those are. I can get on board with all 3 of those. I think Rodgers, just longevity, not really his
39.
thing, right? But he's been in enough situations where he's probably on that list. Who else is old?
I think Russ is in there.
I could see Russ being.
I think Russ is in there. How many weird ass Seahawks games have happened over the last whatever it's been 8 years?
Yeah.
You know.
Do we think a Mahomes has been enough to crack that list?
No.
Derek Carr isn't a stranger to a game-winning drive, I'll say.
I'm comfortable right now with Tom Brady, Matt Ryan, Russell Wilson, Matt Stafford, just longevity-wise.
Oh, Stafford, that was his thing back in Detroit. Yeah, he's definitely on there. I would bet good money on Stafford being on there.
So Brady, Rodgers, Ryan, Russ, Stafford. That's my 5.
Okay. I feel like there's someone, I'm trying to think of quarterbacks in the NFL.
Is there a weird name in there, Quinn, as a hint? Can we get a hint?
No.
Okay.
No.
It's not a weird name.
I wouldn't say any weird names.
Not a weird name.
I'm going to replace...
John says Carr, no doubt about it.
I'm going to replace Russ with Carr. I'm going to replace Russ with Carr.
All right.
Final answer. But wait till then.
Yeah, Patrick saying Derek Carr's a sleeper pick. Ooh, somebody in the chat said Joe Flacco. Zach said Joe Flacco.
I guess he probably
Man.
had about an 8-year stretch.
That's actually
play.
That's a good one.
As a starter, 9 years. It's not bad.
TJ saying that me and him have the same. We also have the same, first letters in our first 2 names.
Are there
My
other-
name's Trevor James.
Are there any other former starters still kicking it around? Yeah, I can't think of, because obviously Flacco,
Who's old as hell?
long tenured.
Fitzpatrick's gone.
Yeah, Fitzmagic's gone.
Sad. I don't think so. I think we're getting them all. I don't.
Yeah. Andy Dalton.
I mean, but I don't
He's
think
not.
Andy. I don't
That
think
was
Andy
not.
has that.
I don't either.
All right, so so we got the same 5, except for you got
Carr instead of Wilson.
Derek Carr. I've got Russell Wilson. All right, you guys don't have to. Oh, somebody said Josh Johnson. Just because he's been around, he's played for every
there's that
team. But
longevity one.
hasn't played.
Yeah, Josh Johnson's back. I saw he just got signed.
Did he?
Promoted. Yeah.
Who did he get signed by?
I should have had that nugget ready, but he's back in the league. I saw a tweet about it.
Was it a new team?
I mean, he's played for like 20 teams.
But that's what I'm
I don't know
saying.
how
49ers.
easy
Is it a new
The
one?
odds are not in our
49ers.
favor.
49ers
He
got
did,
him.
he did get the 49ers?
Yeah.
Oh,
Incredible.
hell yeah.
Has he played for the 49ers before? I feel like he probably has.
Yeah.
Has he?
I don't think so, actually.
Let's look it
That's
up.
a new one.
Look it up. Hit Wikipedia. See, they don't need Baker Mayfield. They got the journeyman.
Yeah.
They got the journeyman Josh Johnson, Triple J.
It says,
He was with the
2020.
49ers in 2014 and 2012.
Damn. So
Bengals legend.
What'd you say, Tyler? What did you say?
It's a couple times.
3 times before
Oh, he has been with 3 times.
This is his 4th time with the 49ers.
That's what I'm saying. There's not a lot of teams that he could be a new team for
incredible.
him because he's been around so much.
Hey, they don't need Baker Mayfield.
This guy's like every girl's dream after college. He's like, you just traveled the world. He just travels.
He is well traveled.
Yeah.
He's got like a condo in every.
Exactly.
If he invested in real estate with some of these contracts,
Man, yeah.
this man is
Especially if he was in San Francisco in 2012. He got in early like that. He
Yeah.
probably. Yeah.
dude, he's like a countrywide landlord out here.
And started in Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's obviously grown considerably since then.
He's got his
Damn.
own real estate institution.
Yeah.
If he's bought some condos. That's the first question I'm going to ask him if I ever interview him.
Yeah.
You know,
Dude,
that's
back
not
behind
going to be
us.
nothing about football. It's going to be like, did you invest in real estate when you were coming up, getting all these new contracts? I got to know, because that's probably why the man is living a lucrative life right now, just getting to, like you said, travel the world. Let's get into some panic meter stuff. Clearly, Josh Johnson doesn't have a panic meter. He knows that he's always going to have a job somewhere around the NFL. But there are other teams in the NFL that, whether they're vying for playoff spots, Super Bowl berths, or draft picks, we got to check the panic meter a little bit. We got to see, like, how hot is it right now? How worried are we for where their ultimate destination is? We're going to start with the Baltimore Ravens, given the fact that Lamar Jackson left last game with a knee injury, didn't come back. Tyler Huntley, all sorts of heroics to get them the late game win against the Denver Broncos. But, Mike, when you hear John Harbaugh say, it's not season ending, but he's week to week, what's the panic meter here for the Baltimore Ravens and the playoff chances and then beyond that?
2. I don't think it's that
2 out of
big.
5? So
2 out of 5.
1 out of 5. 1 out of 5 here, folks.
So 2 out of 5. I'm going 2 out of 5 because, one, you have a good backup in Tyler Huntley. He is capable of winning you games, especially with their defensive turnaround of late. I do believe they're going to, if they're going to win games, it is also going to be on the backs of this defense. They obviously have the talent there to do so. And as long as he's backed by the playoffs, you have a 2-game lead for the last wild card spot. Obviously, they're the division leaders right now in the AFC North. But even if they do fall off, even if they do kind of limp into the barn here, they do have a 2-game lead in the wild card. They have some breathing room there. And then their schedule going in, Steelers, Browns, Falcons, Steelers, Bengals, which could be even that Bengals game in Week 18 may not necessarily be meaningful for the Bengals.
Right.
And they could rest some starters. So I don't think it's that difficult. So I'm going to go 2.
Okay, I'm a little bit more nervous than you are.
Okay.
I'm going with a 3. The Ravens' margin for error, especially on the offensive side of the ball, already seemed thin.
Mm-hmm.
It already felt like Lamar was having to do a lot of heroics for that team. Defense playing really well, obviously, to this point, and I think that's where their strength is. But even without Lamar, they were really struggling. You mentioned the 19th toughest schedule moving forward. That Bengals game at the end of the season, at the end of the regular season, that's the one that everybody's going to look forward to. Steelers, Browns, Falcons, Steelers, Bengals. Not a tough schedule, but I'm agreeing with a lot of people in the chat. Bengals are firing on all cylinders. They're tied with them right now. Both of them are 8-4. So, Lamar doesn't play this week. I think it's okay, but I'm also worried. Is this something that lingers? We're already into the later stages of the season. Guys are already beat up. The bodies are beat up. They're tired and everything. Will this knee injury linger? So I'm not totally panicking because the schedule's easy, but I'm worried about this one. I'm going 3 out of 5.
That was my only thing is, in terms of them making the playoffs, not worried. But it hampered Lamar come playoff time. If he's still affected by an ankle injury, a month and a half from now, that's what I'm more worried about, is because he needs to be at full strength so much. That rushing threat is such a big part of that offense and everything that they do, that if it's not there to the degree we expect from Lamar Jackson, they're not going to be putting up points on the scoreboard.
John saying 4 out of 5 for his panic meter. Cole is agreeing with him, another 4 out of 5. Daniel saying 3 out of 5. Nathan saying 7. I don't know if he went out of 10 or if he's saying 7 out of 5, but that's pretty nuclear right there. Meta's going 3.5. I like the half. It's nice little touch there, a little personalization. Adam's saying 4. I think that people are pretty worried here about the Ravens, but I do think the Bengals go a long way into that. If we look at our simulations on PFF.com, you were right. 90% chance to still make the playoffs. So this team, in all likelihood, still playoff bound. 56% chance to win the division, which is still higher than the Bengals right now because they do own that tiebreaker. But 8% chance to win the conference, 4% chance to win the Super Bowl. That's what we got there. Dolphins are next. After this weekend, what you saw the San Francisco 49ers do to the Miami Dolphins. You can take everything into account. The injuries along the offensive line, injuries to Jalen Waddle, how the game was going. What's your worry level with what you saw with the Dolphins, and specifically what happened with Tua last weekend?
1. 1 is my worry level.
Out of 5.
Out of 5.
Not worried at all.
Doesn't even register for me.
Wow.
1, because they still control their own destiny in terms of the AFC East. They have the Bills remaining. Beat them, obviously, the first time around. If they beat them the second time around, they can control their own destiny in the AFC East. If they win out, they win the AFC East. So from that perspective, it's not that big of a loss. From another perspective, it was just these games have happened before with Tua. They haven't happened yet really this season, but he has done these before and bounced back. I don't think this is a sign of things to come. There's a reason why the 49ers are, by many accounts, the best defense in the NFL. I believe they are the best defense in the NFL, personally, myself. So that's always going to play a factor in, and you didn't have Teron Armstead. I think that is probably the bigger reason here for the inaccuracies that we saw from Tua Tagovailoa. The confidence aspect, you cannot put a number on it. You can't put a stat. PFF doesn't track what that does to your brain as a quarterback when you're throwing out Austin Jackson with your tackle. No, it wasn't Austin Jackson, but whoever you're throwing out at left tackle there instead of Teron Armstead.
Still Brandon Shell.
Brandon Shell.
Was it still
there
Brandon Shell? When you look at the numbers, Miami still has an 88% chance to make the playoffs. They got a 20% chance to win the division, 8% chance to win the conference championship, and then we got another 4% to win the Super Bowl. They've got the 8th toughest schedule moving forward, but I don't really think a lot of that matters. I'll just read it off. I mean, they're at Chargers, at Bills, versus Packers, at Patriots, versus Jets. But the Dolphins are making the playoffs. My panic meter with them being a 3 goes into what I said on yesterday's show. I don't think the Dolphins are at risk of not making the playoffs. Shoot, like you said, they control their own destiny. They could even get the 1 seed still, and that's still within the cards there. I believe the Dolphins are a team that has the offense to beat anybody in the NFL any given week. But I don't trust Tua to win multiple games in a row in the playoffs. And that's why I'm a 3, because it's kind of like, hey, the Dolphins clearly better this year. The offense clearly firing on all cylinders when those guys are healthy. It is a marvel to watch what Mike McDaniel is doing, not just with Tua, but the rest of the offensive weapons and how they're putting up a lot of points when everybody is out there. That's a recipe for success, no doubt about it. I don't think they're missing the playoffs. but I don't know how serious they are as a Super Bowl contender. I just don't see them stacking those wins like that. So it seems like the chat is mostly against me. I think a lot of people are very much with you. William saying 1 out of 5. Daniel saying 2 out of 5 for Miami. Brown saying 1 out of 5. Cole saying 1. Meta's even going 0.5 again. Meta, like the touch. Good job there. Parker's going 0.1 out of 5.
Oh,
about as low as you could possibly get there.
That's Mike McDaniel.
A lot of people are saying 1. A lot of people are saying 1 here. Philip, though, is going with 3. They're agreeing with me for 3. So I think a lot of people agree with you on this one. A lot of people agree with me on the one before. But next one, Kansas City Chiefs. Another team. Caught an L this past weekend, although it was to a red-hot Cincinnati Bengals team. But with the Chiefs now losing to the Bengals, no longer being at that top spot, having that 1 seed, Chiefs, like these other teams, still control their own destiny a little bit, but it kind of depends what happens. I don't think it's fully controlled their own destiny because of the loss to the Bengals. Mm-hmm. So what do you think about the Chiefs? Where's the panic meter right now that they're no longer the 1 seed?
I went 2. Truthfully, it's probably closer to a 1. It's if we're leaning that way, it's probably like a 1.51 because their schedule going in, they have the Broncos twice, Texans, Seahawks, and Raiders. Chances are they're going to end the season with only 3 losses. Seahawks is really the only game I could see of that bunch, them losing over the final 5 weeks. So, yeah, the Bills could also run the table, but I still think you have to say the Chiefs are the front runners to get the 1 seed. But I do say the opportunity is more there. Had they beaten the Bengals, it was over. They were the 1 seed.
Yeah, right.
It was theirs. Right. Chances of them giving that up were almost 0. So that's why I go it's a little bit higher, just because winning 3 games to get to the Super Bowl just makes it a lot murkier, especially with how talented the AFC is, because I don't care who you're playing in round 1, even if you're the 2 seed in this year's playoffs, it's going to be a dogfight. You're going to have a difficult team on the other side of the field.
Yeah, I do agree with you. I got a panic meter of 1. I'm not worried about the Kansas City Chiefs at all. It feels like that's an overwhelming thought in the chat as well. A lot of people saying that they're not even worried. We've even got some people saying 0 out of 5. I know somebody who said -1. Somebody said -1. People are basically going like, how low on decimals can they get here? For worry, the panic meter on the Kansas City Chiefs. As of right now, according to our simulations, they have the easiest schedule moving forward as well, which I think goes into them potentially regaining that number 1 overall seed, which I think is right there for them. They're at the Broncos, at the Texans, versus the Seahawks, versus the Broncos, and then at the Raiders. I mean, it doesn't get any easier than that, it feels like, for a team that especially knows those opponents really well down the stretch. So I'm not worried about the Kansas City Chiefs at all whatsoever. 99% chance to make the playoffs, 99% chance to win their division title, 33% chance to win the conference championship, which is the highest mark in the AFC, and then to win the Super Bowl, they are still our number one prediction right now at 21%. So not worried at all about the Kansas City Chiefs, and I think the chat agrees with us there. Let's flip to the other side of this, the other coin, if you will. The Raiders had a top 3 overall pick just a few weeks ago, and now they continue to win football games. Had an overtime win 2 weeks ago. Had a big win over the Chargers this past week. What do we think about the Raiders? What's the panic meter with the Raiders winning too many games to get a draft pick that really could change things for them, Mike?
I don't think – I feel the opposite way of this, truthfully.
Okay.
It's that it's kind of showing proof of concept that, hey, maybe this Josh McDaniels – Derek Carr pairing can work. Maybe what we have can work.
Together.
Because they're 5-7, and 6 of their losses this season have been by 1 score or less. They're not getting blown out in these games. They have hung in, and maybe the offense hasn't looked the way you want it to, but there are obvious areas where you can improve this roster, very specifically along this offensive line, that can make that offense look the way you want it to. So I think that we're seeing more of this gelling, more it coming together, more being a proof of concept that, hey, maybe we don't get rid of Derek Carr. Maybe we don't get rid of Josh McDaniels. Maybe this can work long term. It was just a rocky start to begin with. So I'm more of the opinion that that's what you're going to see going forward. And now, is that a path to Super Bowl? You're not going to convince me of that just yet. But I do think it's a path to, at worst, not being a dumpster fire.
So you obviously went about this as them not being a dumpster fire being a good thing. And obviously there is reason to believe that being absolutely terrible and having to completely tear everything down is not a good thing. I went with a 5 because I genuinely think the Raiders are playing good ball. And you mentioned it. It was frustrating watching them get to that 2-7 record when they had a top 3 overall pick. Now they're sitting here at 5-7. They've won 3 in a row. It's 2 overtime victories and a good victory this past weekend. And it felt like a Raiders-esque script to win this. It was on the backs of Josh Jacobs on the ground. It was through Devontae Adams through the air. Like that was how the Raiders were always going to win this year. Now we're just seeing that identity show up in ways that's getting them wins. So honestly, when I look at the Raiders' schedule moving forward, it's the Rams, it's the Patriots, it's the Steelers, it's the Niners, it's the Chiefs, okay? Obviously, those 2 games at the end, the Niners and the Chiefs, not great. It's the 5th toughest schedule according to our simulation, but Rams ain't scaring anybody. Patriots ain't really scaring anybody on offense. Steelers, all right, you can win that game, right? They can win 3 out of their last 5, and I think that could be easy for them. So in terms of them getting a top 5 pick, I think those days feel like they're over for the Raiders doing those mock draft simulations. So it's a 5 for me on the panic meter, because I don't think they're going to be picking anywhere close to the top 5 when it's all said and done. But you can, of course, look at that in a much better way than saying that it's a total panic. What about the 49ers? Speaking of the 49ers, Jimmy Garoppolo now out for the year. They're going to Brock Purdy. They're also going to Josh Johnson, so we got to think about that as well. That, of course, factors into things. It doesn't sound like they're going to get Baker Mayfield. I guess that was the report this morning, that they're not going to go after Baker Mayfield. So with Brock Purdy at the helm, what's the panic meter for the 49ers now with him at quarterback moving forward?
It's a 5. It has to be a 5. You went all in.
The disrespect.
You traded all those picks for Christian McCaffrey. You obviously traded all those picks for Trey Lance way back when, but like this is the year that they were planning on. This was the year that was supposed to be Super Bowl year. Went to NFC Championship game last year. You thought you had a better roster this year. Get over the hump for the next step. Are we trusting? And for as weak as we said the NFC is, where they are strong is the defensive side of the ball. Eagles, Cowboys, Buccaneers. They're going to have to face one of those teams. Maybe 3 of those teams, honestly, if they want to get through this gauntlet. Almost call it gauntlet. Want to get through the NFC to make the Super Bowl. Are we trusting Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, a rookie, to go above and beyond, to not make the boneheaded play, to not make the game-losing decision against those defenses? And now I didn't really trust Jimmy G either, but at least he has the experience. So I'm going 5.
I went with a 2. In all honesty, I probably should have gone with a 3, maybe even a 4 in this one. But the reason why I went with a 2 is because when I look at the simulations for San Francisco, they have the 23rd easiest schedule remaining, okay, with these last 5 games. They've got a 96% chance to win the playoffs to make the playoffs because of the lead that they've already got. They have an 87% chance to still win the division, 15% chance to make the conference championship game just because the NFC is not as strong as the AFC, and they even have a 7% chance to win the Super Bowl. Now, I don't know how much Brock Purdy goes into that 7% there. The numbers would probably go a little bit further down if you're taking full context into it with Brock Purdy being the starter. So I'll admit, I originally put a 2 just because I think this is still one of the better teams in the NFC. I think the defense can absolutely get you where you want to go. But if you were viewing this Niners team as a potential Super Bowl team, which honestly I was, so I wasn't thinking about this the way that I probably should have, the panic meter's a 5 because you're starting Brock Purdy from here on out. But in terms of even still getting to the NFC Championship game, I think they can do that still. So that's why I originally had it lower. They're making the playoffs. They're probably hosting a playoff game. And I think that there's still a good chance that they end up playing in the NFC Championship. So in that regard, it was a little bit lower. But if you were looking for Super Bowl aspirations for the 49ers, then, it's tough to think that it's going to happen. They're at the Bucs this week. Then they've got at Seahawks versus the Commanders, at the Raiders versus the Cardinals. So that's kind of where we're sitting with the 49ers. I'm curious, what's everybody think about this one with Brock Purdy? Jared's saying 1.5 out of 5. He's not worried at all. Quell's saying 10 out of 5. Med is saying 6 out of 5. Simon's saying 5 out of 5. Cole's saying 4 out of 5. Philip's saying 69 out of 5. Nice. My beautiful Italian hunk is now gone and I will cry forever. Philip probably not alone in that one. Man from BC says 4. Yeah, a lot of people are not trusting Brock Purdy. Maybe that makes me want to trust him more. Believe.
I like Brock Purdy.
Can do it. Didn't you say
I think he can operate that offense?
You were like the highest on Brock Purdy coming into the draft?
He was like 150 something on the PFF board.
That's higher than I had on the board. That's for sure.
It's like you can be a perfect scheme fit, but he's still not. He's still a 7th round rookie. He's still not terribly talented physically.
Yeah, but Josh Johnson, though. You do have to think about that.
You
do have to think about it. We did make the graphics before we knew that Josh Johnson was on the team, so I assumed that you would have been closer to me and that I was right.
No.
Okay, probably not. What about the Falcons? Falcons and Desmond Ritter's current situation, right? Because we're watching the Falcons week in and week out, and it just feels like, yeah, they're scrapping some wins here and there. Mariota does not look like the guy. He just doesn't look like the guy. So where is the panic meter specifically for Desmond Ritter that he hasn't looked good enough in practice to take over with that job?
See, I was doing the panic meter more for just the Falcons quarterback situation on a whole, because I'm worried that you're kind of going to get Desmond Ritter's entire rookie season and not know what you have. And so you're going to go into next year's draft, and you're probably going to pass on the quarterback position because you're not going to be drafting in the top 5. And are you willing to make that move to draft in trade up and draft in the top 5? Probably not. So you're going to go just with a normal position, and you're still going to go into next year not knowing what you have in Desmond Ritter, maybe even keeping Marcus Mariota in the fold, but not having seen him at all, and that's going to be his first test. And when it's your first season of playing football, it's just, obviously he's played 4 years at Cincinnati, but it's just going to be a lot more difficult transition to the NFL. You would rather he get some looks right now against live defenses, and I think they're going to just be a little too close to the Bucs down on the wire to really give Ritter those chances. So
right.
I think you're punting on another year then if you do that. You're making 2023 then another evaluation year when you want to be doing that right now, truthfully.
Yeah. No, I agree with a lot of what you're saying there. My panic meter on this one is a 2 out of 5, but that's just from the Ritter perspective. Because it's like, okay, I'm not totally worried that a third-round pick rookie quarterback isn't coming in right away for a team. That's why it's a 2 for me. Would I like for him to have maybe done a little bit more to make sure that he's out there already? Yes, but they currently have the bye week this week. There's still room for them to play him a little bit down the stretch. And I'm not worried about a year one, again, third-round pick, not getting into the NFL yet, especially while there's a veteran who helps them on the ground, which I think is important because you got to remember Atlanta's built around the ground game. All of that goes into it. But I do get worried about Atlanta's timeline here. That's the part that I really agree with.
They just look on a crash course right now towards purgatory. That 7-10, that 8-9, that 9-8, that area where you don't want to be in as a franchise because you can't find a franchise quarterback and you may not have it on the roster, but you're trying to force it. They just look destined for that for the next couple of years. Is kind of unfortunately the track they're on.
Yeah. Philip's saying 4 out of 5. TK saying 4.83 out of 5. Nice touch, I like it. Buzzard's saying 4. Adam's saying 5. You got to put Ritter in. Cole's saying 3. Man, I think a lot of people are panicking for this situation. Just I think more towards what you were saying with the Falcons, where they're worried about where they're going. Last one that we got: Los Angeles Chargers. What do we think about them dropping one to the Raiders this past week? They're 6-6 right now. Let me look up their percentages to make the playoffs. Make the playoffs for the Chargers. We have 26%. They've got a 0% chance to win the division, so they can't win the division. They only have a 1% chance to win the conference championship, and they have a 0% chance to win the Super Bowl. Well, not 0. It's not fully 0, but it's close to 0% chance to win the Super Bowl. So only 26% chance to make the playoffs here, Mike. 20th most difficult schedule moving forward, so should be kind of easy, but where's the panic meter for the Los Angeles Chargers?
5.
5!
I'm worried.
Man.
I am worried. One, because the right tackle position this past week was a disaster. I saw, what was his name, Foster Sarrell or whatever. I truthfully hadn't heard of him until this past week. And I saw him take a pass set directly into Justin Herbert's lap without having to block anyone. Max Crosby got chipped, and he just passed sets right into Herbert's lap because, well, probably not the right tackle you want out there. So the Chargers have issues in terms of talent. They have issues in terms of coaching. And truthfully, I just don't think they're that good of a team. Obviously, the defense side of the ball we've discussed has been a problem as well. So 6-6, games against Dolphins, Titans, it could be 6-8. Go 6-8, it's over. It's over at that point. I don't care if their last 3 games are fairly easy. It's over if they lose next time.
They are. They go Colts, Rams, Broncos. So, those are fairly easy. That's what gives them just the 20th toughest schedule moving forward. I have them at a 3. I'm not ready to just slam the panic button yet, but I do see what you're talking about. I do see where you're coming from. I'm not yet naive about it. My hand is getting over the panic button. Yeah. And at 3, my hand is getting closer to slamming the panic button. But 6-6, they're not out of it. 26% chance to make the playoffs. It's not ideal, but not fully hitting panic yet because there is still a lot of talent in that team. I think a lot of people who have watched the Chargers this year would probably tell me that I'm being naive, but I also just watched the Tampa Bay Buccaneers do everything that they could to lose a football game last night and still somehow won it. So maybe the Chargers can have a really bad start to the season, handle a lot of things wrong, still win down the stretch, maybe make the playoffs. Meta's saying 5 out of 5 for the Chargers. One Man Odyssey saying 5 out of 5. Coltrane saying 5 out of 5. Williams saying 500 out of 5. Jeff's only going 3.5. Uncle Dusty's going 4. Chris is going 4. But I think a lot of people are losing faith in what is going on with the Los Angeles Chargers. I feel like that's kind of where we're at.
Yeah. It's a good segue.
That is a good segue. Because we know how much you guys like the touchscreen that we were able to utilize last week. Well, Mike was so panicked about where the Chargers are. He said, I want to break down some Los Angeles Chargers plays to explain exactly why that is a 5 on the panic meter for Mike. So let's go over and check that out. All right, back over on the touchscreen now. We know you guys love these X and O breakdowns, but no Seth Galina in the house today. But that's all right, because Mike is quite the X and O's guy himself. He knows what he's watching with film. So with Seth not here, we're giving Mike the touchscreen pen, and he's going to break down for us some Chargers offense, I believe, some third down stuff. Mike, what do you got for us?
Yeah, we're going to 3 of their third downs in the fourth quarter to just show kind of the narrative that everyone's talking about. Joe Lombardi, why he may be holding this offense back, why the offense may get a little stale at times, predictable, and why Justin Herbert's stats may not be indicative of how well he can actually perform. And we're going to get, like I said, 3 third downs here in the fourth quarter.
Okay.
All 3 of them, they do not convert on. And it's just the lack of interplay and the lack of options between these routes that they have. We saw them in their 4 fourth quarter third down plays. No bunch sets, no routes, no route combinations playing off of each other, all isolation routes that Justin Herbert basically has to pick the winner, or else he's not going to be able to find and convert this third down. So here are the route concepts we have here. We got Josh Palmer running a stick route at the sticks, one of their favorite concepts. You watch a Chargers game, they're going to go to the sticks, turn around probably a half dozen to a dozen times a game in this offense. You got the same thing up top here from Keenan Allen. You got a little skinny post here, and you got a slant. You got one route from Trey McKitty here. You got one route that you really feel good about as a man beater. Third and 4, you're thinking probably an obvious press man scenario because obviously zone coverage leaves up that bottom area of the field. So 3rd and 4, obvious press man, you have one real man beater. Trey McKitty here on a slant. As we'll see here if we go to the actual end result of the play, that it ends up being not a lot of options.
Yeah.
He could throw a tightly guarded there. He could throw a tightly guarded here. He could throw a tightly guarded there or a tightly guarded there because there's, again, no interplay between the routes, no scheming up a free release, no motion pre-snap to get anything. It's basically Justin Herbert has to pick the winner. He goes to the hitch here, and it's hitch at the sticks, which Josh Palmer has to come back to it because it's a tightly guarded route because they run that a lot. Ends up only getting 3 yards. They have to go for it on 4th down to end up converting. Next play here, 3rd and 12. Another one. Obviously, a 3rd and 12 is going to be difficult at this point in the game in the fourth quarter. They were still down a couple scores. You're thinking 4 down territory. But even still, I question the route concepts that we were seeing here. We have a go hitch at the sticks. Yet again, like I said, that's one of their faves. We have a go up top here, and it's basically just a clear out for a Keenan Allen dig right at the sticks. And again, when you have this set right here, and they had to deal with tackle protection issues all game long. Varsicero at right tackle, not a guy who can one-on-one against Max Crosby, so they were chipping him at this point. Always going to be difficult when you can't get 5 out in a route. But on this play, they make it so obvious that it is going to Keenan Allen with this route concept that he has no other option. He has to go to Keenan Allen. And oh, by the way, everyone knows Keenan Allen's their best wide receiver.
Right.
When his first game's back, it's like, you are going to Keenan Allen. So on the 3rd down, he's probably going to see a double. He's probably going to see some inside help. And that's what we end up seeing here again on this play. If you go to see how it turns out in the end, you have a safety coming down right into the lane here. Herbert obviously has to go there because you have clears here, which where are you going to if you're not going there? There's really going to be nothing else as the routes are all breaking kind of at the same time. It's just Herbert has to choose. At that point, he chose that. You got 2 guys in the middle of the field. One of them bats it down. Another failed 3rd down conversion. Last one here, 3rd and 9, well towards the end of the game. And almost identical in the concepts we're getting. Just outside, clear, outside, clear. Keenan Allen, slant. and then we got a little whip here, which on 3rd and 9 is not going to get you to the stick. So you got one option. Yet again, you're leaving Justin Herbert, a guy who can read defenses, a guy who can get from 1 to 2 to 3. You're leaving him with one throw. That has to be the throw that he makes on this play, and you end up getting the running back coming out a little bit on, just giving him another option to check it down to. But again, it's 3rd and 9. You want to get past the sticks here. So no interplay again between these route concepts. This guy's not helping that guy. And again, we see a slant to Keenan Allen. There's an underneath help defender. Window's not there. Has to get it off. And another failed 3rd down conversion.
It almost feels like they almost have too much faith in their guys. And, we like to talk about quarterbacks and head coaches having confidence to, hey, when there's a 50-50 ball, when it's tight coverage, we like our guys better than their guys. But it feels as though they almost have too much. It's almost to a level where it's like, hey, things could be easier, but you're trusting them to beat really tough situations too much. Is that kind of what you see as well from Jalen Moore?
It reminds me a lot of kind of the later years of Mike McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers, where he's like, I think my guys can win a one-on-one, and I think I have a quarterback that can hit tight windows.
Sure.
And when you do, you make your guys go one-on-one a lot and trust your quarterback to hit tight windows. But that leaves you such a thin margin for error at the quarterback position that you want to, at some point, try to scheme other guys up, especially when you have maybe some other guys who maybe aren't natural separators like a Josh Palmer, like DeAndre Carter, to the level that Keenan Allen is, even though Keenan Allen's probably not what he used to be at 30 years old now. But those guys, these routes are nothing at this point. If you're running clears, if you're running goes with Palmer and Carter, the chances of those turning into a first down is almost zero, which then leaves you, again, with one option. And when you're taking guys completely out of kind of the progression at the quarterback position, it's just going to make your job a lot more difficult.
People love to talk about the low average depth of target for Justin Herbert, given how much arm strength he has. Do you think this also goes into it a little bit from what you saw just from this game, a little snippet from that as well as the rest of the season?
That's the thing. It's if he's not going here, here's where he's ended up going. He's ended up going. He's like, if this wasn't a 3rd down, say if this is a 2nd down, which is how a lot of these end up going. If he's not going there, that's where he's going immediately because
and they clearly know that too. Right?
Exactly. People see him going to the check down quickly, and they're like, "Oh, Justin Herbert, check down artist." A lot of it's the offense. He doesn't have the second read on this play. There's no. I guess this could count as a second read going there. Obviously, it wasn't time on this play, but the second read often is nobody.
Man. A lot of questions with the Chargers, offense and how they're deploying these guys. Clearly one of them. Appreciate it, Mike. Good job, buddy. That was good stuff.
Hope it made Seth proud.
Seth, not in the chat, but we need to hear from him. We need to hear whether or not he gives the Seth seal of approval. But that was good, man. I think a lot of people look at the Chargers and they go, what is wrong? What's going on with the Los Angeles Chargers? And I think that's a really good breakdown and a way to contextualize and actually bring to life some of the problems that they're having. Yeah, there's talents around the roster, but it's just not being deployed the way that it really needs to. And I remember a lot of people were saying, hey, a sneaky pick for the Chargers in the draft last year, Jameson Williams. Yep. Get them some speed so they can separate, so they can have a lot of those clearing routes, if you will, that actually turn into vertical chances if you want to design them around a guy like Jameson Williams. But of course that didn't end up happening. O-line pick, can't be too hard on it, but that's something that's still clearly missing from their offense. It's time.
Oh, yeah.
It's time for the reason why you wore that shirt today. Mm-hmm. It is time for Dogs of the Week.
Dog. He gets after it. He's a dog. Dog. He scored 5 touchdowns. Dog. He's a dog. He's a dog. He is a dog. Absolutely.
Woo-hoo! We got some good Dogs of the Week today. A lot of great dogs to choose from Week 13 in the NFL. You guys in the chat watching the show, we want to hear from you as well. Who are you giving a shout out to? Who is a true dog of the week, either from their stats, from their personality, what they were able to show on the field, something. What made them stand out to be a dog of the week? Mike, I'll have you go first, though. Who is your first dog of the week today?
I am going to start with a guy that we unfortunately had an oversight on last week.
Oh.
It's Josh Jacobs. He has been
stud.
A dog.
Stud.
This past week, 144 yards on 26 carries, 1 touchdown, 373 rushing yards the past 2 weeks, 12 broken tackles. That tied his career high this past week, his 3rd straight 100-yard game. He now leads the NFL with 1,303 yards this season. He's averaging more yards after contact than Najee Harris is just as a runner. 3.88 yards after contact this season.
Okay.
Najee Harris, 3.8 yards per carry. Insane stuff for Josh Jacobs this season, making himself some shit.
That's no doubt about it. I can't remember if it was after this. Was it after this weekend's game, or maybe it was last weekend's game where Josh Jacobs was doing the post-game interview and Devontae Adams came up behind him while he was doing it, and he just gave the money symbol. He just did a hand gesture.
Man.
This man's about to get paid, and I'm not sure if it's going to be
franchise tag.
Well, I'm not sure if it's going to be franchise tag or if it's going to be long-term contract. We will see, but he's definitely going to be making more money next year than he is this year. That is for sure. My first dog of the week. You guys will see a trend here because it's coming from the same position, but I couldn't let these guys out this week without really shouting them out. The first one is A.J. Brown, the Eagles wide receiver. I mean, just an absolute dog against his former team. A.J. Brown, 84.2 receiving grade, 10 targets, 8 catches, 119 yards, 2 touchdowns. Also trucked Christian Fulton into next week on his second touchdown of the game, and the touchdown before. Dude, he wasn't even open.
Yeah.
The man wasn't even open. They just threw it. That little screenshot right there is his first touchdown catch. How is he coming down with that football? That is what I continue to say all the time about A.J. Brown. It's a weekly award, no doubt about it, but it's also a cumulative award of how A.J. Brown has been playing this season. He's been a dog of the week on this show before. Had to give it to him again for both of his touchdowns and how they came about. That is a true dog mentality right there.
Oh, yeah. Easy pick. Easy pick for dog of the week.
Who's next?
My next one, I am going one rookie corner for the Dallas Cowboys, Deron Bland.
Oh, let's go.
Massive game on Sunday night against the Indianapolis Colts. He was targeted 5 times, allowed only 2 catches for 9 yards, but the highlights were 2 interceptions in the fourth quarter to fuel that massive 33-point fourth quarter that made the Cowboys run away with one. Had a forced incompletion in the game as well. Had himself a great season. Wasn't my favorite draft. Later on, corners in the draft, coming out of Fresno State, was a Sacramento transfer, one of the transfer portal success stories with how he has risen, how he rose his draft stock in his time at Fresno State. Looks like a player for the Dallas Cowboys.
Dude, I was looking at the overall grades as we were going through this exercise to pick, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
That high of a grade? I said to myself, all right, it's that high of a grade. He must have played, 4 snaps. He played 60.
He started.
He played 60 snaps.
It's his third start at Screw.
I mean, that's a great recognition from you right there. Williams going back to college football and saying Utah's entire team for beating USC in the Pac-12 championship. I think that's a good shout out for Dog of the Week. Jason saying Amon-Ra St. Brown, huge game. Just a huge season overall.
Yeah, quick shout out. The whole chat was spamming A.J. Brown. That's probably the most unanimous I've seen a chat on one player. Dude, shout out to him.
He has to be. He had to be. He had to be the number one guy that we brought up just because, again, the nature of how he scored that touchdown goes fully into the segment. Walt, of course, loves the Josh Jacobs. Shout out. Lord 3 saying Donovan Edwards. Another shout out to college. Michigan running back there. Nico says Nick Bosa, dog. 3 sacks this past weekend. Absolute takeover performance against the Miami Dolphins. I absolutely agree with that. My second one, I'm sticking with wide receiver. This one was in the chat, and I'm giving a nod to it, is DK Metcalf. Metcalf this weekend, big win the Seahawks got over their divisional opponent, the Los Angeles Rams. Metcalf, 89.9 receiving grade on the day. 8 targets, 8 catches. So for those of you keeping score at home, that's 100%. 127 receiving yards and the go-ahead touchdown, but not just the go-ahead touchdown, Mike. The go-ahead touchdown while wearing Jalen Ramsey as a backpack. And earlier in the game, I went back and I watched all DK Metcalf's targets. He didn't have a single target that Ramsey was on him until that final play of the game. And this is earlier in the game. You can see this is the third quarter. DK and Jalen probably were talking smack all game. They send DK Metcalf in motion, and he waves at Jalen. He points Jalen out. He's like, follow me. Tell your team to play man coverage. Come follow me. He ends up getting a catch on this play, but of course it's number 6 who's guarding him, not Jalen Ramsey. So I just thought that was interesting. He's talking smack to one of the best corners in the game, and when the game was on the line, he needed it. I don't know if you guys out there all caught that DK Metcalf touchdown, but he's running a little dig route into the end zone, and he puts his hand up to Geno Smith like, I'm open, throw me the ball. Mike, he's not open. He's not open. Jalen Ramsey has his hand like hooked on his hip, And DK Metcalf still just like, throw me the damn ball. I'm going to get it over this guy. And he absolutely did. That's a dog, folks. That is a dog for DK Metcalf.
Yeah, the Rams have problems at corner. They can't play man with number 6 out there. My last one.
Yep, last one.
Josh Uche. New England Patriots. Yes, in a losing effort, but have to give this guy some love because he is the highest graded pass rusher since week 9. Yeah, he's a sub-package rusher, but he has been dominating of late. And in that sub-package role, he has 28 pressures on 141 pass rushing snaps this season, one of the highest pass rushing win rates in the NFL. And against the Bills, 5 pressures on only 18 pass rushing snaps, 2 sacks, 3 run stops, a forced fumble, doing everything he can to earn some more playing time there. Yeah, he's a little bit of an undersized guy. Yeah, maybe not your every down type of guy, but a playmaker nonetheless. Josh Uche deserves dog of the week.
There we go. Coltrane saying Cam Bynum, pass deflection that led to a pick to seal the win with an INT in the end zone as well. Teacher saying Jalen Hurts absolutely trucked the Titans. Who else we got here? Why are they saying that Matt Ryan deserves praise for interception? Am I reading that wrong? I don't know what you guys are talking about here. Oh, we got some Garrett Wilson shout-outs. Garrett Wilson, huge day for the New York Jets.
Yeah.
Didn't come out down with the win, but man, he had a monster second half, so that was great to see. Adam saying Rodgers for the, quote, second home line.
That's good.
Saying thank you to the Chicago Bears for being their second home. Oh, going back to college as well. I got to shout this one out. Jared saying Max dug him.
Yeah.
Max Duggan. Unreal performance in the Big 12 championship. Although they came up
turned
short.
into Lamar Jackson that last drive.
That was unbelievable. DJ says Malik Hooker, interception, fumble recovery for a TD against his former team. You always love to see that. Steven said Chris Lindstrom, unbelievable day. Damn near perfect PFF grade when it came out initially. So had to shout him out as well. We shouted him out yesterday. Justin said Jamar Chase, and damn it, that's my last one. My last dog of the week is Jamar Chase, and it has to be. Is it the greatest game that he's had in his career? No, not necessarily. But it was still good. Mm-hmm. He still led the Cincinnati Bengals with 8 targets, 7 catches, 97 yards, 81.6 receiving grade. And the reason why he's a dog of the week is because after T. Higgins' touchdown, he made sure to let the Kansas City Chiefs know that it was raining money on the field with these wide receivers. Just gets up straight in his face. I tweeted this out. Jamar Chase is a first-team all-pro shit talker every year. Doesn't matter if he plays a full season, only a handful of games. This guy's going to get in your face. And obviously he was defending his guys when there was a little bit of Twitter beef back and forth between Justin Reed and some of the guys on the Cincinnati Bengals. So he was making sure that he was getting that dog mentality even in the days leading up to this game. Biggest game of the year so far for the Cincinnati Bengals. He played huge. He let him know that's a dog, baby.
Yeah, Justin Reed really fumbled on that one, on that pre-game smack talk.
Don't call him out. Come on. You can't do that.
Coming off a broken hip, too.
Who? What?
Yeah.
Jamar.
Cracked his hip.
Coming off a broken hip.
Yeah, right. That's true.
I also have to ask you guys because I have no idea. Jamar keeps saying like tuna in a can. I have no idea what that means.
I unfortunately, you're
absolutely no clue what it means.
No idea.
I've been saying it all week too, but still don't know what it means.
Maybe it's, well, first of all, you should probably look up what that means before you continue to say it, just because
okay, fair.
That would be smart. But maybe it's the high protein plan. You know, when we were all in college, you know, you're just eating tuna straight out of the can. You know, maybe it's just like supporting a high protein diet.
I think I have an idea of what it means, but I don't want to say it.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm glad that you're not then. If you you know what it means.
Okay, maybe I shouldn't have been saying it then.
Appreciate everybody getting in on one of our favorite segments that we do every single week with your dogs of the week here in the chat. We appreciate you guys getting active with us there. We always love doing that, shouting out some guys for various different reasons, including phrases that we don't know, which maybe we shouldn't have repeated on this podcast. But hey, that's for us to figure out once we get off the set. Before we get out of here, Mike, what's some early lines that you like for next week?
I like Browns heading here to Cincinnati to face the Bengals under 47 points.
Oh, a defensive battle.
I watched the Browns offense this past week against the Texans.
Very true. It's very true.
And it wasn't good.
Very true.
And the way this Bengals defense is playing of late, I don't think it's going to be good again this week. So this isn't an indication of the Bengals offense either, but I do think that the Browns will not be putting up too many on the scoreboard, and at that point it's going to be difficult to go over 47. So I'm going under 47.
I don't hate it. Lou Anarumo, phenomenal defensive coordinator. It's only going to get worse for Deshaun Watson this week. If you thought it was tough going against the Texans last week, just wait until this week. So I don't mind the under. I'm going to another divisional matchup. New York Jets against the Buffalo Bills. I don't think anybody's picking the Jets to beat the Bills this time around. But the Jets get 9.5?
It's a lot. Mike White looks good.
9.5?
Or, I mean, they look better with Mike White.
That defense is too good. And they're coming off a game that they're going to be pissed off. They're going to be focused. They're going to absolutely give the Bills their best. 9.5 points, too many points. Saying it.
Yeah.
Putting my foot down. Taking the 9.5. You're almost giving double digits to the Jets. I think that's disrespect. So I'm going 9.5.
I did have one question before we got off of this.
Yeah.
The Lions are favorites against the Vikings. I wanted to see if you guys had a take on that.
Hottest team in the NFC, so yeah, it makes sense.
They shouldn't be favored.
Hottest team in the NFC. Well, the last time we said that was when the Cowboys were favored against the Vikings and then pulled their pants down, spanked the bottom. So yeah. I think that's fair. I don't think it's unfair.
What's the line? What is it, like 2?
I think it's like 1 or 2.
1.5?
What is it?
1.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right. So, I mean, it's just essentially a pickup game.
It's just wild. A 10-2 team being dogs.
Being underdogs.
Well, that's the hottest team in the NFC again. Come on, guys. Hottest team in the NFC.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Eric Eager. Appreciate it.
They dropped 40 on the Jags.
I know they did. No. And they're obviously going in the right direction. Yeah. It makes sense that they're getting respect.
Yeah.
But is it disrespect for the Vikings? I think it might be.
A little bit. I
think it's a little bit of disrespect. I think Justin Jefferson's about to show him what's up. All right. Question of the day before we get out of here. Can we get an answer here? Yeah. Well, let's fly the question up so people remember it before we get some final answers. Essentially, playing off of Tom Brady, having another game-winning drive last night. Name the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL with game-winning drives that are active still playing. So we've got Tom Brady, obviously still active. Aaron Rodgers, Matt Ryan, Matthew Stafford, and then my 5th, I'm going with Russell Wilson. You're going with Derek Carr? You're still going with Derek Carr? The only other one that I saw in here was Flacco.
Yeah, Flacco's intriguing.
Flacco's the only other one. Ooh, Zach's taking Stafford off the list, and he's putting Wilson and Flacco in there. Oh, Lord 3 said Kirk Cousins? No way. No. Kirk? No, I don't think it. No.
Yeah.
Can't be.
Yeah.
Can't be.
Who is it?
Yeah, let's get it. Who are the 5?
You guys are damn close. Tom Brady has 56. Matt Ryan has 46. Matt Stafford has 42. Russ has 35.
Oh,
Derek Carr
Rodgers
has 33.
Where's Rodgers?
Not his game. Not his thing.
Plus, they've been ahead and won a lot. I wonder how many opportunities he's had to even come back compared to the rest of those guys, you know?
He doesn't have a clutch gene either.
That's true.
Something to think about.
We were both right.
Yeah.
You know what?
Yeah, collectively, you guys nailed that.
I'll take that as a mutual win. Do we have a chat champ for the day?
Yes, we do. Curtis Allen.
Ooh.
He had some zingers when we were doing the panic meter for the
Curtis?
Chargers. He said it was a 28.3 out of 5. So pretty sure he's very concerned about them.
We love the creativity, Curtis. Shout out to Curtis being our chat champ for the day. Curtis, you know what that means. It means tomorrow you got to be back in the chat, which good day to be the chat champ for because it's NFL Draft Day. We are looking at the top 5. We're looking at the top 10. We're updating some team needs. Maybe giving you a little mini mock draft as well. But we're talking about what players could fit the teams that are currently slotted to pick in the top 10, which, what is it, only 5 weeks left? 5 weeks left in the regular season. So we are getting closer and closer to really honing in on what that draft order is. So chances are, if your team's currently picking in the top 10, it can end up there. So tomorrow, good day to pay attention. Good day to hear what we think with what the team needs are going to be, some potential draft targets that they have. It's going to be a lot of fun, Mike. I'm looking forward to it.
I am as well. Because if you're drafting the top 10, you ain't making the playoffs. That's the point.
You've been grinding the tape, too.
Yeah. We got QB rankings going up this week. We got OT rankings going up this week. So go be on the lookout for those.
Okay. Look out on PFF.com. We'll have plenty of draft stuff over at PFF.com. We'll also have plenty of draft stuff here on the show tomorrow as well. For Trevor Sikkema, that is Mike Renner. For everybody in the production portal, thank you guys so much for watching It's Just Football. We'll see you right here, same time tomorrow. See you guys then.
It's not about politics. It's about football.
This is a simple game.
We're going to run the ball, and we're going to pass the ball. He's just going to play football, really.
How good of a football player are you?
I just get it and try to spin it. That's all.
I just love the game.
It really is the best time of the year.